Meat. Everybody loves it. So expensive right now. Today I'm going to show you how to cut this big sirloin tip that I bought for half price into $95 worth of meat. 6 dinners. Hey, it's Vicky from Vic's Tips, where you learn tips, tricks, and techniques to save you time and money in the kitchen. And my husband Eddie are going to be breaking down a whole sirloin tip that we bought for half price.
Your whole sirloin tip. A lot of people get a sirloin tip. It's actually called a knuckle, which is actually the back part of the cow, which is round meat. A lot of people confuse it with a top sirloin. They're a totally different cut of meat. Top sirloins are in the top part by your loin meat, and this is in the back portion, which is more or less considered round meat. Because it's all your top round, a lot of blood. Here we go, it's all in the cry back. Toss that away. We'll get a towel here, wipe this up a little bit. Take my knives.
What kind of knives are you using?
Washcloth. They're cheap knives to me. But we use them in the industrial that I work in as a meat cutter for, what have it, 25 plus something years now. Okay, we'll just leave that right there for right now. Okay, this one is, I don't know what the packer was, who the packer was, or the separators, but they did a number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this silver skin off, and we're going to take a lot of this stuff, and we're going to end up turning all this into ground beef. So we're going to take this off the silver skin, which that's no good for a ground beef because that gives you your gristle. And I got a pan sit right here, aside, for my ground beef. Take this fat off, toss it. I'm kind of looking at this and seeing where my seams are at. So, okay, now, you notice this thing has 3 sections in it. You got what we call a silver side, and you got the middle, and then, which is an eye, and then you got another side right here. But this one they left looked like the processors left a lot of stuff on. So, which that's okay. We can turn this all into stew meat and merchandise out what we can. And trim off a little bit of this fat. It always helps to have a sharp knife. Trim, no waste. Or what you trim off, and if you got a little bit of fat, we can always grind it. We got a little KitchenAid grinder that we use. It's perfect for it. A little fat don't hurt anything, especially when you're grinding meat. So we're going to trim this down. This is really, I don't know who broke this piece of meat, but they didn't do too good of a job breaking it. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. We'll grind that. We'll end up probably getting about I'd say probably 1.5 pounds of ground beef out of this. Okay, you can make stir fry out of this piece of meat. You can make steaks, you can make roast, lots of different things. Let's see, here we go, let's get this off. I may be going a little too fast for a lot of people, but that's only because I've been doing this for a long time. Okay, that's a perfect piece of meat for stew meat. We'll cut it, split it, bam, put the stew meat right here. Well, I'll show you the different. This is what I got this pan here for, is I'm going to show you the different portions that we'll get out of this piece of meat and how you merchandise this. And I'll show you how you're going to have several different meals. Because what we do in the time of the day now is, with the pandemic going on, is everything is really expensive as far as meat is right now. This piece of meat is a decent piece of meat. It's cheap, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can thin slice it. You can make like fajitas. The Hispanics, they make fajitas out of it. Tacos.
I love fajitas.
Oh yeah, we all love fajitas. Okay, now that I've done that, like I said, this is an ugly piece that they broke down. And I think the packing houses are having a big problem right now also, as far as with associates, keeping people work. So they're just, see how I spread that off that? I take my knife and just kind of scrape it, and then you got it, okay? Because like I said, you don't want this in your grinder, because all it does is it just clogs it up and problems for you. Okay, now this section right here is what I call the silver side. And well, actually somebody took that off. That's unbelievable. So I'm gonna set this piece of meat like this. I'm gonna take my bigger knife and I'm gonna square this piece of meat off, okay? Set that aside. That'll be something else. Turn this back up. See, I'm turning this face back up. And then what I'll do is I'll square this whole tip up. I'll take this piece off. This is what I like to do, okay? This is all gonna be turned into stew beef and ground beef, okay? I'll clean this up a little bit more. Okay, now, the first cut, we're gonna make some steaks. I like to go about an inch and a half with my steaks. Okay, there's one steak. And tonight, my wife, she basically wants a roast also out of these. Okay, these are pretty decent steaks. They're good on the grill. They're not too bad. Okay, so you figure that's a meal there. So now, and if you got a big family, you want to make a big roast, we'll take this roast and we're going to cut it. And it'll be about 2.5 inches thick, okay? Cut that down.
Wow.
There's a roast, okay? Normally I tie this and I cut it, and you'll have a nice perfect roast and it'll be tied. Okay, so I'm gonna set this aside for right now. Okay, now this is what I call the silver side, which are decent steaks, okay? Now, you can either make 2 or 3 things. You can make several things with this piece of meat right here, because it's a very well piece of meat. You can make stir fry out of it. You can make round chunks like kabobs, stuff like that. You can even make cube steaks. I don't know what my wife wants me to make with it. I mean, she can tell me and I can show you. If she wants cube steaks, I'll have to bring out the cleaver and make cube steaks. If she wants thin slice, I'll have to do that. Now there's a trick to this. You gotta cut it against the grain, okay? This piece of meat's running this way, so your grain's running this way. So you're gonna cut it against the grain.
Can I get kabobs? I love kabobs the most.
You like kabobs?
You know that's my favorite.
All right, so you want kebab meat. Well, I can take kebab meat out of these pieces as well.
I know you want to pound it, don't you?
No, I don't want to pound it. Sure, I want to pound it all the time.
How about some thin slice so I can make it a steak sandwich for lunch?
This is you got to be very careful when you're doing thin slice, especially when you're not wearing a glove. Okay, now the trick of this is take your knife, place your hand over the top, and you just hold it and you just pull that knife just like that. I don't have a slicer, and that's thin. Okay? Throw that over there, thin slice. Same thing. Pull.
Hold it up.
Thin slice.
Oh wow! Look, you can almost see through some of it.
Okay. And like I said, I can go through here. See how I go down with my knife? Go slowly. Hold my hand on the top. You gotta be very careful. And then just pull it right through. Just like that. Okay? Now, I'll do this all the way down until I get to a certain spot. Okay? You know what? I'm gonna take the stew meat and I'm gonna put it in another bowl, okay? Okay, these make great sandwiches. I'm gonna square that off. Just like that, put that into stew meat.
So like every time you have a little extra, you just throw it into stew.
You can, yeah.
Not wasting anything?
No, there's not too much waste off the sirloin tip. I work for a grocer, and we do tests on meat and see what your gross is and everything. So it's not too much if you know what you're doing. Like I said, it's a very good cheap piece of meat, and you can get a lot of meals out of it. And I don't know how much.
I think that's good.
Is it good?
Yeah.
That's enough thin slice for us?
Yeah, that'll be a few sandwiches.
Okay. All right. Now, this, and along with this, I'm gonna keep doing this right here with my boning knife. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the stir fry.
Ooh, yay.
We all like stir fry, so we make little chunks right there. And then again, you've got to remember, whenever you're cooking stuff or cutting, you always want to cut across the grain. A lot of people make the mistake and they cut with the grain. You cut across the grain, the meat's going to be tender. So you see the grain's going this way. So I'm going to cut across, and you can see the difference in the way it looks. That wasn't too good of an example. Let me show you a little bit more. You'll be able to see it. It's totally different. And I'll show you how many meals after we get done with this. I may have to grab another pan because we're going to see how much we're going to have. Okay, now here comes the fun part. It's seaming this out. Okay, I'm going to come here. I need some meat for ground beef, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Okay, now here's the seam. This is your seam, okay? Take my knife, pull against that seam, as so. Like that, okay? That's a nice clean piece of meat, right? Square it up, stew beef. We're gonna slice it in the middle, right through here. Okay, your grain is running this way. More stir fry. Grain, see the grain? Grain's running this way. Okay, now trim out this a little bit. This we do not want in the back part. I hate this piece of meat right here because of this one fact. Is this big piece of junk in the back. Gristle, whatever the heck it's called. I don't know. But throw that away. That's nothing. They'll all get clogged up in the grinder. Okay. Now, there's another seam right here. See how I pull my knife back and forth? It's a technique you acquire after you've been doing it for so long. There's another seam. I'm trying to seam all this out. Some of this I'll keep because some of it will go through the grinder. Some of it will clog the head up. Throw that away. That goes in the grinder. Okay, this. Toss it. It's not even worth it. Okay, now round chunks, kabobs. Is that really okay for you, or what? You want me to cut it in half right here?
You know I like.
You know what? I'm gonna go with stew meat with that because it's got a little marbling in it, and it'll be okay. Okay. Like I said, this is the back portion of this knuckle, and it gets ugly. It's really ugly. This is where you get most of your waste at. Is this back portion. I'm actually doing better than I normally do at work. I'm merchandising this pretty good. I'm not getting too much waste off this one at all. Oh, I should have laid all that waste in there and showed you. Okay, silver skin. Now, comes more. Actually, I'm gonna pull this fat off a little bit. I'm gonna scrape it with my knife. Like I said, it helps to have a real nice sharp knife. So, scrape it. Scrape it, scrape it, scrape it, scrape it, scrape it. No waste, no waste. Okay? Now I got a little silver skin. Take this off, put it underneath the knife. Slightly come up and under. There's another little seam right there. Okay. Just take this one, grinds. Let's get rid of this. It's that other seam. I'm not gonna go with that because that's too thick to go in the grinder. Okay, I got another seam right here. This thing's got a lot of seams in it. Stew beef. Okay. A little fat with that. This is what you don't want. You don't want this silver skin. Just follow your seams. All you gotta do. It's a technique all us meat cutters have done for years. Is you follow that seam. Take, pull, cut, pull. Okay, now this piece of meat, you see all this garbage? I call it garbage. It's garbage. That's what it is. It's all garbage. You got a lot of guys when they cut the meat, they take this and they throw it right in the trim. I don't like to take it and throw it right in the trim because, like I said, it clogs up the head, and you get a bad product. You know, you want ground beef to be, you know,
and
lean.
The trim is ground beef?
Yeah, this is all going to be ground beef. Like I said, this stuff goes in, if you put all this into your ground beef, when you grind it up, I don't know if you've ever eaten hamburgers and you get this little chewy chunk on there or something like that. That's because they threw in a bunch of this garbage. And it's not, what do you call it? It's not clean beef. It's just gristle, basically what you're eating. A lot of people don't realize that. I could probably clean that one off a little bit more. It's a lot of work, but I mean, it's well worth it if you're feeding a big family. I mean, or if you want to save money, you know, I mean, and you get several meals. Well, I mean, you know, look, so far right now we got what? 1 meal here, 2, possibly 3, because you know that roast, if you have leftovers, you can make something else out of it. Then you got your steaks you can throw on the grill. Then we're gonna have ground beef. Then you got your stew meat. And then you got stir fry. So, and we're still not even done breaking this completely down. So, silver skin off. You know what, I'm gonna leave a little bit in there. It'll go through the grinder. I just don't like the big chunks of it. Stew beef. Okay, now, here's a nice another little piece right here. Turn that off. Whoops. My wife has really never ever watched me work. I'm sure she's amazed now at what I can do.
I am amazed.
Okay, here we go. There's a nice little piece right here. This is going to be more stir fry. So I'm going to take again, if you remember how I did the thin slice. Lay my hand on top of it, come down, and slice with a slice, okay? That's that piece. Again. See how I'm getting these even pieces? Here we go, okay? Well, you can do also little sandwiches with them again in total. But, okay, and this little piece, more, whoops, stew meat, okay? Now, this is gonna go in our stir fry. Okay, let me find the grain. I'm in my kitchen right now, and it's hard with the lighting to see which way the grain's going. Step back, grain's going this way, so you're going to cut across that grain. Well, that one's off a little bit, okay? And you can always go back. It's still going to cook up okay. Technically, you want it to look like that. See how the grain is? That's what you want it to look like. Cut at an angle. Always cut it at an angle. For some reason, I don't know, it just makes it look better. I've always done it that way.
I wondered why everybody kind of did it on an angle, on the bias, if you will.
Well, you know, whenever I do my top sirloins, when I slice them when they come off the grill, I always slice them at an angle. London broils are the same way. A lot of people make the mistake and they cut them across the grain. or right, however, I don't know how they do it, but I have so many people always come in and they go, this was the toughest piece of meat. You know what? I've never had a problem with a London broil, top round. And I ask them all the time, I said, well, how did you cook it? Oh, I cooked it on the grill and sliced it. I said, well, which way did you slice it? They said, oh, I just sliced it straight across. I said, oh, no. It's where many people make a big mistake. They cut it straight across. And then again, I tell you, and the secret I've known cooking a lot of meat, I do a lot of cooking on the grill, and there's really not a bad piece of meat out there. It all depends on how you cook it and how you slice it. And as long as you slice it across the grain, you just shouldn't have no problem. Okay, here comes more silver skin. Take this off. Sometimes I can get that just right and not have anything left. But normally I'm used to wearing a cutting glove too, but I can do it either way. So, okay, that'll go on the grinds. Let's go with a little bit more. I need some more meat for ground beef. Okay. Kabobs. Wife likes kabobs. Here we go. Bam. Square it up. Oh, there's a little fat on there. That goes in the ground beef. Stew beef. It's too small. And you know what? I'm not gonna have enough. I'm just gonna make stew beef because we like stew in our family. We can make a lot of things.
And it's like
beef tips and rice. I mean, you can do a lot with these. This makes great beef tips and rice. Once you cook it down and you sear it real good, and it's really good. My wife, she's terrific. She's a great cook. She comes up with some stuff. I was in restaurant business for almost 10 years before I got into meat cutting. So, and I appreciate her cooking. And we both share tips together. And we sometimes, if I don't like a recipe that she has, I'll give her advice and something to put in, and then she likes it. And you know, same versa. It's the same thing. Same way. We work together good. Stew beef. Oops, let me take that one piece back and go back to grinds. Ground beef. Ground beef. Oh, there's another seam. So I'm gonna take that and I just pull. I cut meat a lot different. I was taught by a lot of different people. And, you know, and I was told when coming up in the industry is that, you know, you're a meat cutter, you're going to learn your own way. Not one meat cutter is the same. This is why meat cutting is an art. You're an artist. What you do is you form that piece of meat into an art to sell. A lot of people, they don't, oh, meat cutting's easy. Well, I was a meat cutter, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? No, I don't think so. I hear that every day. And, all right, and that's the finished product. So we have, how many meals are we going to have out of this?
So there you have it. That's how I took a $45 whole sirloin tip and made 6 meals, almost doubling my savings. If you found that interesting or you want to hear some more, please like and subscribe to my channel because, well, now we got to cook all that stuff. See you next time.